Welcome to the Sports Angle on PRConnectionsRadio.com, the voice of new media. I'm your host, Ian Rickelli. It is finally here. Week one of the 2022 NFL season. It is a fantastic time to be a sports fan, but a football fan in general. You got college football, NFL, NHL, and NBA is a month away. And then you got MLB with the playoffs right around the corner.
That's
But for
crazy.
NFL week one, we had to do it right. I had to bring on somebody who hasn't been on the sports angle before, but it's been long overdue. From Willy's Bar, Jay Will.
What's
Welcome to
going
the
on?
show.
What's going on, man? Thanks for having me, man. I really appreciate it. Glad to be here, man. Yes,
So,
sir.
so to continue on a tradition we've done in 2021, we did in 2020, and we're going to do in 2019 as well as 2022. Every single week of the NFL season, we make our picks live here on the Sports Angle on PR Connections Radio, the voice of new media. So the way this is going to work, everyone who's watching around the world, you can participate in this as well. Go on to all our social medias at Sports Angle on PR or go on Twitter at Sports Angle on PR and use the hashtag the Sports Angle to engage in the show. So we're going to start this out by going to a matchup that is really underrated and I believe is going to be a banger for week one, and that's going to be the New Orleans Saints Atlanta Falcons matchup. We actually might know somebody in common who has a connection to the Atlanta Falcons. Shout out to Ron Thomas out there. But when it comes to the Saints and when it comes to the Falcons, thanks to FanDuel for the information, the best sports book out there. You have the Saints right now as a 5.5-point favorite. They open at 3.5. So, Jay Will, I have you start out. Saints versus Falcons, 5.5-point favorite. Who do you got win this matchup?
I'm taking the Saints all day, and they'll probably win by 12 points. Jameis Winston, he's gonna fling that ball around. So um, they got a lot of weapons over there in New Orleans, and I just don't think that Atlanta they're not gonna be able to hold up.
And as much as I don't like to agree with the person I have on the show, I have to on this one. Look, when it comes to the Atlanta Falcons, they don't have the offense. Marcus
Right.
Mariota, you have the flying Hawaiian Marcus Mariota, but he isn't. He doesn't have the receiving core. Drake London first start. He's not going to be Calvin Johnson. He's not going to be Larry Fitzgerald immediately right out the gate. Kyle Pitts, fantastic tight end, but he is not it yet.
Yeah.
So, based off of the lack of offense and the defense that might be turning around, but it's not there yet. So, I have the New Orleans Saints. I'll take the 5.5. I think it could be a touchdown game when it comes to the Saints and the Falcons. And shout out to Thomas, by the way, longtime viewer of the Sports Angle on PR Connections Radio. He agrees with you on that with New Orleans versus Atlanta.
I am curious though to see the quarterback play from Mariota to the tight end. You just said his name,
Kyle Pitts, yeah, the second
Kyle
year guy.
Pitts. I'm just kind of curious if Mariota is going to be able to connect with him. I have having in a couple of fantasy leagues, so I'm just kind of curious.
Okay, so how many fantasy leagues are you in right now?
5.
5?
Yeah, and I say it every year that I'm not going to do more than 2 or 3, but I just always someone calls me and says, "Hey, do you want to do it?" And then I just get in. So
Yeah, I'm in 5 as well. It's just, it's a lot of fun. It's a great thing to do. It's the reason why, just like sports betting, it's been taking off over the last 4 or 5 years. So,
yeah, it's when you get playing in 5, 6 leagues though, I just noticed that you start playing against yourself, and that's like so you have one league where you really need to win, and then you have another league where you might be in first place, and it just everything just starts to kind of start running together. And so yeah, that's the downfall from playing in all the leagues, but
and
it's still
like
fun.
what site do you use? Because there's all these different sites, man.
Yeah, let's see. I think I'm in 3 on ESPN, let's see. I'm in three on ESPN, one in the NFL, and one on Yahoo. And then I do DraftKings every single week too. So
Of course, gotta get a shout out to DraftKings, the best sports book that's out there. And they're
yeah,
not paying me, by the way. For anybody who's wondering, I just love DraftKings, so I just love promoting them at all costs.
but yeah, I
Now,
didn't know if I could say that. So sorry.
hey, it's all good, man. It's all good. So, the next matchup supposed to be the Bears versus 49ers, but I'm going to save that for last.
All
Obviously,
right,
there's a reason why I'm
all right.
saving that for last.
Let's save it for
So,
last. Save the best for last.
you got to save the best for last. Absolutely. This is entertainment. This is show business.
So
So, Pittsburgh versus Cincinnati, the Super Bowl AFC representative, the Cincinnati Bengals, 6.5-point favorite thanks to FanDuel. You got Pittsburgh Steelers, Mitchell Trubisky, the former Chicago Bears, now the starting quarterback out there in Pittsburgh. Now, who do you got in this matchup with Cincinnati? I mean, 6.5-point favorite. I don't know about
it's a
that one.
lot. It's a lot. It's a lot. Do we get a Super Bowl runner-up hangover like we got on Thursday night with the Bengals?
It's
I
been
don't think
happening.
so. Yes, it can happen, but I think that I think they went out and got a good offensive line, so they're going to be. It was terrible last year, and Burrow did his thing. So I don't think so. I think the running game, and I think that the quarterback play, along with they have a really good defense. Trubisky, I don't know if I believe in the kid. I mean, he was with you guys last year, so I mean they're speaking high on him in Pittsburgh, but. Uh, I'm going with Cincinnati though. I don't think that they'll have a hangover.
And
I
as we're
don't.
talking about the NFL Week 1 and doing our picks here on the Sports Angle on PR Connections Radio, I'm your host, Ian Rakelli. We're here with Jay Will from Willy's Bar. And look, with Mitchell Trubisky, I was a critic, but I also was a guy who praised him at times because
Okay.
I understood that he was in a very muddy, very dirty situation in Chicago. They drafted him, and then they pretty much switched everything on offense around him. He had different
Huh.
offensive coordinators, different quarterback coaches. The systems kept changing in and out. He really didn't have any weapons as well. He had Allen Robinson, I think, for one solid year, then the rest of it just fell apart. So when it came to the Chicago Bears, I never truly blamed Mitchell Trubisky. I also felt like he had the Alex Smith treatment,
Okay.
where because of the quarterback that was drafted after him in the same draft class, people
Right.
considered him a bust. You're a San Francisco guy, so you know if Alex Smith, if a guy named Aaron Rodgers wasn't drafted after him, people
Oh,
wouldn't
okay.
have really considered Alex Smith a bust in the NFL. But because Alex Smith was drafted first and Aaron Rodgers was drafted 22nd overall, everyone criticized and really was very harsh on Alex Smith, despite the fact that he went to multiple playoff games.
Yeah, and I don't know if you and I have ever really discussed this, but I've talked about it over and over and over, and I do believe that Aaron Rodgers wouldn't be the Aaron Rodgers today if the Niners had drafted him and just threw him out to the wolves like they did Alex Smith. When you can play 3 years behind a legend like Brett Favre, you can learn, which is another reason why I'm glad that we brought back Jimmy Garoppolo because Trey Lance can learn. You can learn from a veteran. You can get that, in the film room. You can get on the field. You can break. I mean, when you have a veteran like that can break down uh, just the entire quarterback play. Now, do I believe that Alex Smith would have been a better quarterback had he got drafted 22nd and went to Green Bay? I don't know, but I don't believe that Aaron Rodgers would have the star-studded career that he's had he just went to the Niners. And so, everybody always teases the 49er fans like, oh man, you guys missed out on Aaron Rodgers. Nah, I don't think so.
Well, I mean, who would you want? What would you rather have? Be with Mike Nolan immediately in your career, or sit behind Brett Favre for 3 years? I mean,
Exactly. Exactly. Exactly.
by the way, Mike Nolan. Just want to point this out again. Terrible decision. Mike Nolan, Mike Singletary. I mean, he really didn't have a good coach until Harbaugh showed up.
Right. Right. And I mean, what he went through, what four? I think Alex Smith had four
Yep.
head coaches, or four offensive coordinators in 4 years.
he did.
terminology changing every single year. I really don't think that he ever really got a fair shot, but he did have a heck of a career. Um, so, but it was tough in the beginning. I think he thrived. I'll always say that his best throw ever was to Vernon Davis against the New Orleans Saints in that playoff game. I just,
2011. Yeah.
yeah, that was probably the best throw that I've ever seen him throw because he actually threw it to to where Vernon Davis was breaking. So, but I think he had a hell of a career in Kansas City. So, journeyman, even in Washington, he's a journeyman. So, yeah, shout out to Alex, man.
Yeah. Shout out to him, University of Utah legend.
That's it.
University of Utah close to my heart. So, but back to the game we were talking about. When it comes to Pittsburgh versus Cincinnati, I'm going to go with Cincinnati because I believe it could be a touchdown.
Okay.
6.5 is really hard to go with because, they could easily just lose by a field goal or even
Right.
win by a field goal and you still lose the bet.
Right.
But with it being 6.5, I'll give the touchdown to Cincinnati. So I'll go with them. I'll take the 6.5 with Cincinnati. Should be a great game, though. Whenever the
I
AFC
agree.
North on the AFC North, it's always a fantastic game.
And if there's any coach that would be able to bring it out of Trubisky, I think that Tomlin will get it done. So I think he's in a good situation. He's in a good system.
Not to, obviously with this show, it's live, folks. Anything can happen. But I like to kind of detour for a second. When it comes to Pittsburgh with Mike Tomlin, Brian Flores, like all the people that are in Pittsburgh,
Mhm.
I've always believed this and I always will believe
Mhm.
this. Pittsburgh is one of the best places for a player to go because of
I
the
agree.
culture and because of the staff and everything. You agree with that? Like when it
I
comes to
agree.
like the best organizations?
I agree. I mean, where they've had three head coaches their entire existence. Um, uh, and what a lot of people don't know is that they've used the same playbook since the 70s. So no matter what head coach that comes in, you can't come in whatever offensive coordinator comes in. It's like a Pittsburgh Steeler Bible that these are the plays. So I think that that's why they've been continue to be relevant for decades after decades is because it's the same system. So, what is that? Who is that? The Rooney family
The
that
Rooney
owns the team?
family, yeah, Art
Yeah,
Rooney and all
yeah,
them.
yeah. That's I don't know how they figured that out way back when, but it's worked for them. And they all, they got six Super Bowls, but not even that. They're, I don't even think that even in the history of their existence have they ever been like, 1-16 or you know what I mean? Like they've
Well,
always
they
been
struggled when they first entered the league, just like every team like struggles when they enter the league. But really,
right,
ever since the '70s, they really haven't been terrible. I think their lowest pick ever since then has been 9th overall, 10th overall. So yeah,
okay,
they really aren't a team that struggles that much.
right.
Now, the next matchup doing NFL Week 1 picks here on the Sports Angle on prconnectionsradio.com, here with Jay Will from Willy's Bar. And this is a matchup that a good friend of mine, a good friend of you as well, is definitely going to be watching, and that is the Philadelphia Eagles going down to Detroit and taking on the Detroit Lions at Ford Field. Right now, the Philadelphia Eagles, 4.5-point favorite, thanks to FanDuel. So, Jay Will, who do you have win this matchup? You think Jalen Hurts is going to stroll into Detroit, pick up an easy W, or is Detroit, with all the expectations and the good decisions they've made this offseason, might pull off a victory here?
I don't. First of all, I don't think that there's any easy wins in the NFL. Just the movie Any Given Sunday, and I just say that any given Monday, any given Sunday, any given Thursday. They're all professional guys, but I think that they still need some work in Detroit. I like what Jared Goff did last year, though. He balled out and he's got some weapons, receivers. But those Philadelphia Eagles, they're going to be good this year. They may win the NFC East. I think Jalen Hurts he'll go in there and get it done. And I'll even take the points too. Um, Yeah, but you never know. Detroit might surprise us, but I don't see that happening now. A lot of weapons in Philadelphia too. Good running game, good defense, good O line. So yeah, this could be tough on Detroit.
With the Philadelphia Eagles, the one thing I really want to see is the improvement and really the evolution of Jalen Hurts. Because, I've been critical on Jalen Hurts. I'll admit it. I've been critical on him the first time he was in college. But I believe that because of the team that's been built around him, Jalen
Mm.
Hurts can become a franchise quarterback in the NFL. So, with that being said, I will take the Eagles minus 4.5. I think they will get the job done. Now, what I really want to see is that, to me, the Cowboys took a step back. The New Jersey Giants, who cares about them? And the Washington, whatever the heck you want to call them, they suck. So with Philadelphia, they should win the NFC East, no problem. The only way they're going to lose it is if they crap the bed, so to speak.
New Jersey Giants, I like that. And you got to call. So it's only right that you call them the New Jersey Jets too, right?
Oh, New Jersey Jets. Yeah, New Jersey
Okay.
Jets, New Jersey Giants. I still call the Los Angeles Chargers San Diego. It's just force of habit.
Always.
I mean,
Yes, force of habit. Yeah, yeah.
now this matchup, I'm actually going to say might be the first upset, or might be the first one that we might disagree with, and that is the Miami Dolphins New England Patriots. Right now, Miami, thanks to FanDuel, is 3.5 point favorite. You got Miami, you have all these new weapons, Tyreek Hill, Tua. Who do you have winning this game? Do you got the old regime with Bill Belichick and Mac and Cheese Jones, or are you going to go with Miami and the new toys out there with the Dolphins?
And where's this game again? Is it in Miami or is
It's
it
in
in New England?
Miami. Yeah, in Miami.
Yeah, Miami. They're on the hot seat right now with the quarterback play, and I really don't think that they ever wanted him. Um, this is gonna be tough. Bill Belichick. Anytime he gets a chance to really game plan, he'll come in and put it together. But they got a lot of weapons in Miami. And kind of funny, just to kind of go off track just a tad bit, I was talking to, because I'm out here in Maryland, I was talking to a guy yesterday about Lamar Jackson. And he told me, he goes, they're not going to pay him. They're not going to pay him. And he goes, he'll finish this year out, but Lamar Jackson's going to be in Miami next year. And I guess he said he has like two restaurants in Miami, and he's got all this stuff going on in Miami, which I never knew. So I just think that if Tua doesn't really get off to a good start or doesn't really have a good season, that he may be gone. But they got a lot of weapons. I mean, they got Tyreek Hill, Mostert, Gaskin. They got a good trio of running backs. I love the head coach. McDaniel came from San Francisco as the OC last year. Um, you know what? I don't like to bet against Bill Belichick, but I'm gonna go with the Miami Dolphins on this one. I'm gonna try and come out the gate and support the young kid Tua, and support my old offensive coordinator McDaniel, and I think they'll get it done.
Mike McDaniel, I was very high on him. I actually think that he will be a good head coach. I just hope that Miami doesn't do to him what they did to Brian Flores. Speaking of which, what Miami did, what Stephen Ross did to Brian Flores, was absolutely despicable.
Yeah,
The fact that Brian Flores is still in the NFL is a good situation. I'm glad that Pittsburgh did what they did for Brian Flores.
right.
And that comment about Ian did not pick Detroit. Wow. Yeah, I know. I picked Detroit to make the playoffs. I have them as a seventh seed. They could start 0-1. All right. They're going to go 9-8. I already have them doing that. Now, I actually am going to go 5 for 5 so far, and I'm going to go with the Miami Dolphins. Give me the 3.5. The Patriots, I have them going 6-11 this year, 7-10. This New England team is a joke. You really don't have much on offense. The defense has kind of been taken apart and been stripped away bit by bit. And Bill Belichick, in his memoir and his encyclopedia, is only going to get you so far. You got to have talent on the field. And New
I
England really
agree.
doesn't have that this year. So I'm going to go Miami. Give me the 3.5. And
And
Yeah, we'll see
who's the
how it goes
OC
there.
over there in New England?
OC, I think it's Matt Patricia. I think if I remember,
Yeah, I
he's the,
mean, well, I know a few weeks back, Bill Belichick said that they were all going to be calling plays, and I was
yeah,
like, okay,
Joe
this doesn't
Judge,
sound
Matt
right.
Patricia, and whatever.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if he was just saying that just to kind of throw you know,
Well,
the reporters off.
see, the thing is, he can't go to Josh McDaniels anymore because
That's
now
what I'm
he's in Las
saying.
Vegas. So
Right, right. That's what I mean. So who's the OC over there? Who's really going to be calling plays? And so yeah, I like Matt Jones, Mac Jones. I like him. Everybody's kind of down on him though, but I like the kid, and I think that you know he could possibly be special. And again, what better situation to be in than to be with Belichick? I mean, he developed Tom Brady, so you know you got to trust the process, I guess.
yeah, I trust the process. Unlike the 76ers, because they still haven't won a championship while trusting the process. Now, continuing our NFL Week 1 picks here on the Sports Angle on PR Connections Radio. I'm your host, Ian Rakelli. We're here with Jay Will from Willy's Bar. And we have a revenge match, return match, whatever the heck you want to call it. You have the New York Jets led by Joe Flacco going up
Oof.
against his former team, the Baltimore Ravens, led by Lamar Jackson. And we'll talk about the Lamar Jackson thing in a second. But when it comes to the Ravens versus the Jets, Ravens are a 6.5-point favorite, thanks to FanDuel for the information on that. So do you think that Baltimore is going to win the game with it being 6.5? Because, I've
Yes.
always said in sports betting that when it's 6.5, 7.5, those are always kind of my trap cards because it's just like it's too unpredictable.
Yes, I believe that the Ravens will get it done. I believe that, they just pound the ball. They got a good running game. They got a good tight end, um, decent receivers. I mean, they lost Hollywood Brown, but I believe Harbaugh, he always seems like he has those guys so prepared. Um, Always just one hell of a head coach.
But he's a
Um,
commander. He's definitely commander in chief. He gets people done.
yeah,
So
yeah. I believe that they'll definitely cover the spread, and I believe that Lamar will get it done. Joe Flacco, I mean, he was always just mediocre. Had a always had a good defense around him. Um, I just don't see him getting it done in New Jersey. I don't see him getting it done in New Jersey. No disrespect, man. I'll call him the New York Jets, but I just don't see him getting it done. He'll probably only do it for what, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and then
well, here's the weird part about it because, the New York Jets or the New Jersey Jets, as we call them here on the show, they're always being broadcasted on media, even though they suck and nobody cares. They're still broadcasted anyway. And they keep saying that he won't be back till Pittsburgh at least. And
oh,
whenever they say a quarterback is at least Pittsburgh, I always say, okay, add 1 or 2 more weeks of that.
right,
Because, when they say at least, that's best case scenario.
right.
So if you're going to have Zach Wilson out for the first 4 weeks of the season, I don't really know what that says to what New Jersey is trying to do here. Because you have a situation where Zach Wilson's a second-year quarterback. It took him second overall. And you are hoping that he can become the guy in New Jersey. I didn't see it. I personally thought he was going to be a bust right away. No, I mean, people kept saying I was biased towards BYU. No, I
Mhm.
just thought that he was not going to be good in the NFL.
Mhm.
When it comes to the New York Jets, do you see them struggling this year with Joe Flacco at the helm if it is 4 or 5 weeks into the year?
Yeah, they'll probably. I don't even know. I haven't even looked at their schedule, but they could probably start out 2-2, maybe 1-3.
Yeah,
I love the kid Elijah Moore over there, the wide receiver.
yeah.
He's very talented. I like that kid. Good hands. So and Flacco, I don't know if he can still fling the ball around. Like, I mean, he threw a good ball in Baltimore. So I mean, older, can he still get out there and chuck that ball? I don't know. I mean, we'll see. I guess we'll see. I think after this week, um, after we assess it all this week, maybe is it going to be a bad assessment, a good assessment? We'll see though. So I like Sala, again, he was our defensive coordinator over in Frisco. Really good coach. So I think he'll have the Jets ready, but I don't think that they'll be able to get past Baltimore at all.
And before we pivot to the next game, Lamar Jackson, I was going to talk about that before we got off of this game. Now, I could either play devil's advocate and explain to you why Lamar Jackson is making a smart move by waiting for the offseason, or I can just be brutally honest and say that whenever a quarterback doesn't take a deal, they're just going to get immediately franchise tag because that team has the options. You know, the team
Right.
has the team control.
Right.
So I want to know from you, which one are you going to go with? Are you going to go with, the devil's advocate and be like, hey, he's making a smart decision. He's going to get paid 45 X something amount of $1 million next offseason. Some team's going to reach on him, give him a bunch of money. Or are you going to do what I'm going to do and be realistic and say, well, the Ravens can just franchise tag him and pay him $35 million next year and then just franchise tag him again if they don't get an extension? I mean,
Look, I feel like I feel like that he's doing himself a disservice to himself by not having a an agent, someone that can represent him, someone that can someone one that knows what they're doing. And I'm not saying that he doesn't. I guess him and his mom are representing him, and is it really that bad that you don't want to pay an agent at 3%? You know what I mean? Like, like, um, again, I'm not gonna throw him under the bus, but Deshaun Watson got buku money, and with all of his issues, off the field issues, um, I just feel like you can't be a player and represent yourself and try to do the best. I mean, I think Richard Sherman did it, but I mean, look, you got to practice. You're in the film room, and you got to go out and represent yourself and try to talk about a deal. No, I just think that you should focus on one thing and just playing football. Let someone else speak on your behalf. Work the deals. I don't know what he's asking for. I don't know what they want to give him, but I think it's kind of a slap in the face to Lamar that they haven't given him a big time deal, because I mean the guy's a proven winner. He's winning over there. So
So would you pay him top five money? Like if you were an NFL team, if you're a general manager, would you pay him top five money?
definitely. And look, I'll just say this: if if Baltimore doesn't pay him, someone's gonna give him the money. Somebody's gonna give him the bag. And like I said, just having a conversation with a guy, I could see him in Miami. I could see him just, what, request a trade. I want out. Like he's a proven winner. I mean, yeah, he's been hurt a couple of times, but the kid, I mean, he's a bona fide certified quarterback. He plays the position on just a huge, huge level. Um, yeah, someone's going to break him off a serious bank load, I mean, truckload of money. So whether it's Baltimore or somewhere else, but someone's going to give it to him. But I would hate to see them continue to keep franchise tagging him, and just I don't know. I don't believe in that. But the kid needs some representation, and I can't believe that it's gotten this far to where you want to represent yourself. That's cool too, but I think he's hurting himself.
I mean, we've seen with people who represent themselves. Richard Sherman, for example. Well, he went to Stanford. I mean, he went to
Right,
one of the smartest colleges/universities.
right. Intelligent guy.
Ryan Fitzpatrick, when he did it with the New York Jets, well, he went to Harvard. I mean, he had one of the highest IQ scores out of anybody in the NFL. So when those two represent themselves, I go, okay, I can understand why they're representing themselves. They're pretty knowledgeable, pretty smart up there. So I will point out is that with Lamar Jackson, I hope he doesn't get the Kirk Cousins treatment. If you
Right,
remember, Washington franchise tagged him not once, but twice.
right.
And then he went to Minnesota and got $84 million, which, by the way, are you a fan of Kirk Cousins? I forget. Are you a fan or are you not?
I don't. You just never know what you're gonna get with that dude from week to week. You know what I mean? He could throw 5 touchdowns one week, and the next week he'll throw 85 yards and no touchdowns. Like, it's just, you never know what you're gonna get with him. He's a gunslinger, but I don't. I don't really believe in him. He can throw the ball, but like I said, you just never know. It's not consistent.
Above average quarterback. Yeah, that's really what I put him at. He's an above average.
Right.
Oh, it's Doug. Yeah, Doug is the one who hates him with an absolute passion. Okay, so the next matchup is a matchup that I actually am very happy to see, even though probably there's only going to be 5 people who are going to be watching this game. And that will be the Washington Commanders taking on the Jacksonville Jaguars. Now, thanks
Ooh.
to FanDuel, Washington, 2.5-point favorite being at home in Landover, Maryland. So when it comes to the game that no one is going to watch, Jacksonville versus Washington, 2.5-point favorite. Jay Will, who do you
I got to go with the Jacksonville Jaguars. What's the young man quarterback over there with the beautiful hair?
got? Trevor Lawrence.
Trevor Lawrence.
Trevor
Yeah,
Lawrence.
guy's got a nice head of hair on him. So, I actually Jacksonville is going to be one of my surprise teams. I think they're going to be a whole lot better this year. It's so crappy over there in Washington, just from ownership on down. Um, yeah, I got Jacksonville. Washington will not win this game. If they do, hats off to them. But yeah, I'm going with the Jaguars all the way.
And as somebody who has been praising Jacksonville for the last 2.5 months, I will take Jacksonville plus 2.5. Heck, even if this is a field goal by Jacksonville, I still win anyway. So
Right.
when it comes to this game, I will take Jacksonville plus 2.5. And really, like I said, this game is like this much on the national TV scale. Like I think there's only like 2 states that are going to be able to watch the thing. So
Oh, do you? I mean, I don't know if I can ask you this, but do you? Since you're in the sports capital of the world, do you bet down there?
it just depends. It really
Okay.
depends on what it is. If it's like a big game, if it's something that is on a big scale, like the NBA playoffs, for example, yeah, I'll put some money down. It just
Okay.
depends.
All right, but you're not doing like the four teamers or 17 parlays or not. Okay.
Oh no, man, I don't do those. Mainly just because I would probably lose more money than I would ever make it. So yeah,
Right.
I'm just gonna stick to what I know, and that's just play some bets on games I think I'm pretty knowledgeable about. Now,
There you go.
when it comes to the next matchup we're going to talk about here on the Sports Angle on PR Connections Radio, the voice of new media, doing the 2022 NFL Week 1 picks. I'm your host, Jane Kelly. We're here with Jay Will from Willy's Bar. The Cleveland Browns, the Carolina Panthers, Baker Mayfield, his revenge game against Cleveland. Right now, Cleveland 1.5-point favorite. Who you got in this matchup and why?
Man, Cleveland's going through a lot. I'm a little bit mad at the NFL for how they did the whole Deshaun Watson deal because I think maybe 3, 4 weeks ago I was talking with Dennis Holmes and I was like, when are they going to make a decision? When are they going to tell this team, are they going to suspend them? Are they not? We're, in training camp. We don't know what's going on. And I just kind of feel like they kind of did Cleveland dirty, even though, they got Brissett over there. But I think that I think that Baker Mayfield, this might just be too big. He might be too anxious. He really wants to beat his old team. Um, these guys know him, in Cleveland. The defense knows him. I think what was he quoted as saying he wants to kick their ass or, like really beat them or something like that. So now you got some locker room stuff to build on. I'm gonna go with Cleveland on this though, just because I just think that if Baker Mayfield can settle down and let the game come to him, but I think it's going to be a little too much. I think Cleveland Browns will definitely get this one.
So we have seen the last 2.5 years when a quarterback goes up against his former team, 2 scenarios happen. Either they crap the bed and they have one of the worst performances their entire career,
Right.
or they go on to a ninja-like focus and they have the best performance of their entire life.
Right.
I'm going to bet on the latter. I'm going to go with Baker Mayfield, Carolina Panthers plus 1.5, with them being at home in Carolina out there in Charlotte. So I'm going to go with Carolina. Give me the 1.5. And I agree with you on Deshaun Watson because really they prolonged it and delayed it so much. And
Yeah,
then when they didn't get what they wanted, they just overruled it anyway and did whatever they wanted to do.
right,
Which is
right,
just like,
right,
why'd you bring in somebody else if you could just be judge, jury, and executioner?
right, right. Yeah, yeah. That was that was very crappy, and I think that they could have. This could have been settled in May. You know what I mean? Like, I just kind of felt like they didn't give Cleveland enough time. Okay, boom, now we're going to lose them for 6 games. Now we're going to lose them for 11 games. The whole time, Cleveland's trying to game plan and get something, get some structure in there and, which direction we're going in. And I just think that was crappy. But so I guess we disagree on that, and that's cool.
So, no, I made a joke about Jacksonville versus Washington and how there's maybe going to be 5 people watching this game on Sunday. Well, we're going to talk about a game that probably not even anyone in the stands is going to care about this game. They're going to be on their phone watching another game while
Jeez.
they are at this game. You have the Indianapolis Colts 7.5-point favorite thanks to FanDuel going to Houston to NRG Stadium to take on the Houston Texans. I mean, I don't really have anything nice to say except the fact that, I might get a nice nap if I'm in Houston. You might take a 3.5-hour nap while you're in Houston watching the Texans play this year.
I don't know, man. Again, any given Sunday, though, I just, like, I like the quarterback over there in Houston. I
Well,
think,
Davis Mills. Yeah.
yeah, I like the kid. Um, okay. I don't know if Taylor is going to have as big a season as he had last year. I just got a funny feeling that, like, and hopefully he proves me wrong. Don't get me wrong, but I don't think
The
that.
curse of the number one player in fantasy. I mean, literally
Right,
since 2017, it's been a curse at this point to be the number
right,
one player.
right. So I don't know, man. I'm gonna go with the Colts, but I don't know if I want to go with I don't know if I'll take the 7. You said 7.5.
7.5. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if I would want to touch that, but I think I got the Colts winning. But I think that it will be a better game than what we're thinking it will be. I don't think it's just going to be lopsided and Colts blow them out by 25.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see though. But I just think don't sleep on the on those Houston guys, man. They're I think that they're going to be all right.
Well, as much as I would like to agree with you, whenever I need to take a nap this year, I'm just going to watch the Houston Texans. They'll put me to sleep night night. Now, I will take the 7.5 on the Houston Texans because of my rule of thumb. When it's 3.5, when it's 7.5, I always consider those trap cards because just that's just that half point is
Right,
going to trip you up. So
right.
I'm going to go with the 7.5 on Houston. I think they could be a touchdown loss for the Houston Texans. So give me the 7.5 on Houston.
All right. Okay.
Now we're gonna go down to Tennessee. We'll go down to Nashville. Go down to country music and everything on that. You have the New Jersey Giants and the Tennessee Titans. I really want to call them the Tennessee Oilers just to mess with them, but I'm not going to do that. So the Tennessee Titans, 5.5-point favorite, thanks to FanDuel, can be played in Nashville. Who do you have winning here? You got Ryan Tannehill. His seat might be in jeopardy. I mean, who knows? Maybe by
Yeah,
week 8, week 9, he's not going to be having a starting job anymore. But you
yeah.
have Danny Dimes. I don't know how many dimes he has at this point, but Danny Dimes. So who do you have win this game? You got the Giants. You got the Titans. 5.5.
Uh, ground pound. Derrick Henry just run the ball down their throats. That's what always made Tannehill a good quarterback is a good running game.
Mm-hmm.
Um, after Derrick Henry got hurt last year, he got a little exposed. But yeah, I got Tennessee. They're gonna they're gonna whoop these cats. You said five,
Five and a
five
half.
points,
Yeah.
5.5. Yeah, that's a lot. But I think that if they pound the ball and then go to the play action, I think that Tennessee will be just fine. Yeah, just fine. I don't know. I think I got the Giants probably coming in last in the NFC East. So yeah, Tennessee all the way.
Now, not only do I think this is going to be a low scoring game because with the Giants, with the Titans, I don't see him scoring a lot of touchdowns in this game. I could easily see this, being a 21-17, 24-21. And because of how low scoring I'm going to assume this game is going to be, I'm actually going to take the Giants plus 5.5. I really don't think this is going to be a touchdown difference. I think it could be a field goal. So I'm going to
I
say I'll
agree.
give the Giants plus 5.5.
I agree. I agree. I agree with you on that. Very low scoring. Uh, 10-6, 13-10, somewhere around in there. Yeah, I agree with you on that.
So, doing NFL Week 1 picks 2022 here on the Sports Angle on PR Connections Radio. I'm your host, Ian Kelly. We're here with Jay Will from Willy's Bar. Now, the best matchup from Week 1, in your host, Ian Kelly's opinion, the Green Bay Packers. They're going to be heading down to Minnesota, taking on the Minnesota Vikings. You got NFC North, NFC North. Shout out to Rashad, by the way. I know you're out there in Minnesota, so I got to give a shout out to you real quick.
Yeah,
But
he's
when it
excited.
comes to this game, Green Bay 1.5 when they're going to Minnesota. Who do you have win this game? Are you going to go with the Packers or are you going to go with the Vikings? Who you got?
So what? No Adam Lazard. I think he hasn't practiced all week. Um, I had high hopes on that young man with no Devontae Adams. You just never know what you're gonna get from Kirk Cousins. You know what you're gonna get from Aaron Rodgers, but you like who's gonna be his go-to? You know,
Hey, maybe Romeo. That's who it's going to be. Yeah, shout out to you.
yeah. You know, I'm gonna go with Green Bay. I'm gonna take Green Bay in this one. Although, again, Jefferson, he's a bad boy. You got Dalvin Cook. You know what? I'm gonna take that back, man. I'm gonna go with Minnesota. I'm gonna go with Minnesota this week. I'm
Oh, well,
gonna
first
go with
off,
Minnesota.
Justin Jefferson, one of the best players. Honestly, one of my favorite players to watch. Like
Yeah.
I know he's a Viking, and I'm me being a Bears fan, I'm supposed to hate the Vikings. But
Uh,
man, Justin Jefferson, he's just too fun to watch.
yeah.
I just can't hate on the guy.
Yeah.
And when it comes to the Vikings, because I'm a Bears fan, I know I'm going to be called biased, whatever, but I got the Packers starting 0-1 on the year. Give me the Minnesota Vikings. Give me the plus 1.5. Yeah, give
Yeah.
me the Vikings. So,
Yeah. Yeah. That's gonna be one of the there's another game we haven't talked about that is definitely on my radar. But that's gonna be another game that I haven't even looked at the schedule yet to see how it's all gonna play out, how I'm gonna get all these games on. But yeah,
yeah.
I'm looking
Well, I
forward to
hope
that.
that this next game is the one you were talking about, and that is the Patrick Mahomes led Kansas City Chiefs going to
Uh,
Arizona, going to State Farm Stadium. They're going to be 5.5-point favorite. No, it's not that one.
no, 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 no.
Okay,
But
can
let's
we
talk
agree
about it
though?
though.
Can we agree that Patrick Mahomes is gonna pick up the win here?
I agree, definitely. I think that
Okay.
too many people are down on Patrick Holmes, and I mean, it's still Andy Reid. You know what I mean? Yeah, they lost Tyreek Hill, but that young man is one hell of a quarterback, and they're gonna, everybody's like, oh, they're gonna come in last in the AFC. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, you think they're gonna come in last?
In the AFC West, absolutely, I do.
Oh,
I
hell
got the
no.
Chiefs going 7-10 when I did my predictions here on the Sports Angle a few episodes back. Go on, watch all our shows, by the way. But a
Right.
few episodes back, I had them going 7-10. I mean, you lost 5 of your receivers in one off season. 5 in one off season.
Yeah. I, no, not coming in last. When has Andy Reid ever came in last though? Like seriously,
2012.
2012.
I mean,
He
that's
was
how he
with
got fired. That's how he got fired in
Philly, right?
Philadelphia.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, they're in Arizona. KC in Arizona. Um, you said what? -6 KC. I'm looking at it
Five and a
now.
half.
Okay, I got -6 on mine.
Oh, okay.
Um, you know what, man? I'm gonna go with Kansas City. Um, I like Kyler Murray. And I like what they're doing over in Arizona, but it's the NFC West, so I'm gonna take Kansas City.
Now, maybe the next matchup I'm going to talk about, and since we're in the sports entertainment capital of the world, since we're in Las Vegas, Nevada, the sports book capital of the world, you have the Las Vegas Raiders taking on the
That's
Los
it.
Angeles Chargers. There you
That's it.
go. The team that you
That's it.
obviously love, obviously, the Las Vegas Raiders.
No,
So the Chargers, 3.5 point favorite, according to FanDuel. Who do you have win this game? You're going to go with Herbert and the Powder Blues, or are you going to
man,
go with
look,
the Raiders and the Silver and Black?
I got a quarterback crush on this dude, man, Justin Herbert. I've been so big on this guy the last 3 years. I love this young man. I mean, he's everything you would want in a quarterback. Like I really love this young man. And I don't know if I've ever told you this, but I despise the Oakland. I can't even call them the Las Vegas Raiders. I'm gonna call them the Oakland Raiders. I grew up in Oakland, and I've just had to deal with the Oakland Raiders my entire life, with their fans and just yeah. I hate the Oakland Raiders. Well, I hate the Las Vegas Raiders, and I'm glad that they're gone from Oakland. I love the fact that I tell all my buddies, it's like, how do you let a woman leave you twice? You know what I mean? They left you, they went to LA, and then she comes back and then she leaves you again for Las Vegas. And you still want to be loyal to this woman? Come on. You
Well, the
can't do
question is,
that.
was it two marriages or two relationships? That's got to be the question.
I want to say as marriages. I mean, people, those,
Okay.
the Raider fans, they love these guys. I feel like they probably think that they're married to them, but I don't
Because,
think I could ever let
two
them.
marriages, you lost 100% of your stuff. So,
Yeah, I don't want to get left by the same woman two times. So yeah, let's go, Justin Herbert, Eckler. Um, the defense, they got great defense. They got Mike Williams. Who's the other wide receiver over there?
Keenan Allen.
Keenan Allen. Like I just want to see, and the Raiders knocked them out of the playoffs last year, so there should be a little redemption from the Chargers. I'm going. What is this? Let me scroll up.
It
What?
is 3.5 right now, minus
Yeah,
three.
I got them at 3.5 minus 3.5. Yeah, but I will say this might come down to a field goal too. I don't see it. It might be. And then I'm just curious. I want to know what Carr and Adams. I want to know if I mean, they got a lot of weapons. Hunter Renfro. I like the running game over there. I'm curious to see what Josh McDaniels is going to do with the offense. He's if again, if you're going to be in anybody's offense, the dude is a mastermind. So Darren Waller, like they got good tight ends. As much as I hate the Raiders, they got a good product out there, but they always just seem to let them down in the end. So
Jay Will, because we are in Las Vegas, Nevada, because show is being broadcasted here. Gosh dang it, you're gonna have to make me defend the Las Vegas Raiders. Look, I'm
oh
gonna
man,
point this out. When they were in Oakland, when they were in LA, I really didn't care much about them. Like I knew they existed, but I really didn't have that much of a passion for them. But then they moved here. And then I had to go and watch them every single week at Allegiant Stadium, one of the best stadiums, by the way, in the NFL. It's amazing.
the Death Star,
The Death Star, the Roomba. No. The Roomba.
the room.
That's what it is. It's called the Roomba. Now, I will say that I used to not care about them, but then they moved here, and gosh dang it, I care about them now. I care about the Raiders. The fans have kind of, grown on me, either by just pure stench or whatever. They've grown on me. I will say the Raiderettes, by the way, are beautiful. I just want to point that
Yeah,
out. The
yeah.
Raiderettes,
I,
beautiful.
I, I agree with you on that.
Yeah.
I agree with you. And I think that Las Vegas fans are just a tad bit different from the Oakland Raider fans. So, and a tad bit different from the Los Angeles Raider fans. So I'm not, I don't think that, in Oakland, it's very rowdy. Um, you couldn't go to an Oakland Raider game, even if the Raiders were playing the New Orleans Saints and you went in the stadium with a Cowboys jersey on, you probably were going to get some beer thrown on you, or somebody might even take a swing at you. So, I don't think that's going down so much in Vegas. and that's a good thing. But yeah, we'll see. You're not going to get me to say too much positive shit about the Las Vegas Raiders, though.
Well, there you
Sorry.
go. But hey, there you go. I had to defend them live on the Sports Angle on PR Connections Radio. I also have them winning this game, by the way. I have them plus 3.5. I'm taking the Raiders. Daniel Carlson, I'm going to call this out. Daniel Carlson will kick a game winning field goal. He did it like 5 times last year. He'll do
Yeah,
it
he did.
again. Daniel
Yeah, he did.
Carlson, a former Minnesota Viking. I don't know why they let him go. He went to Las Vegas. He's been one of the best kickers in the NFL. He will win the game for them. So I'll take 3.5. Las Vegas. I'll go with them. Now,
Mm.
I also will say is that when it comes to Khalil Mack, obviously the
Ooh,
former Raider, he was a Bear at one point. Chargers got him. You're welcome, by the way. So, will he sack his good friend Derek Carr at least once in this game? I
of
always wonder
course.
if that's going to be a wager here in Las Vegas. If I looked it up, it probably is.
Oh, that has to be a wager. And yes, he will get to Carr. He definitely will get to Carr. Maybe 2 or 3 times. I think he'll, that was kind of messed up what John Gruden did to, like just getting rid of that dude. Like he was right. He was a stud. And, you know, Raider fans they were blown away that, you just get rid of a guy at that type of caliber. I think that he'll be like uh, my guy last night for the that had the triangle on the back of his head.
Yeah, I know
Um,
who you're talking about. Yeah.
um, that played for the Rams last year. Now he's playing. Khalil Mack will have a chip on his shoulder, and he will definitely be after Carr all game. His motor's going to be running. Definitely.
Yeah, no
Von
doubt.
Miller.
By the
Von
way,
Miller.
this is also the same John Gruden that decided to trade Amari Cooper for a bag of peanuts. So
Jeez.
now this matchup that we're about to talk about, because we're about 3 games left here talking about the NFL Week 1 picks. Almost an hour has gone by. This is how quick the show goes. Now,
Ah,
you have Tampa Bay. You have
ooh,
Tampa Bay. That's what that's called. It's called Tampa Bay.
Tampa Bay.
And they're going to go up against the Dallas Cowboys. I always want to call them Cowgirls just to mess with Kings are. Just to mess with our friend Kings are. I want to
Jeez.
call them the Cowgirls, but I'm going to resist. So you have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers going up against the Dallas Cowboys. The Tampa Bay, according to FanDuel, 2.5-point favorite heading into this matchup, a rematch of
Ooh,
Week 1 last year. So who do you have,
ooh.
Jay Will? Are you going to go with the Buccaneers or the Cowboys? Who you got?
That's the Sunday night game. I'll give a little bit of information on myself. My ex-wife is from Dallas, and she's a huge Dallas Cowboys fan. Her whole family, and although it wasn't a bad divorce, and we're actually friends, which is I never thought that could happen. But there's like 2 teams that I totally despise, and that's the Las Vegas Raiders and the Dallas Cowboys. I'm not gonna ever give them too much credit. Um, my Niners going into Dallas last year and uh, beating the Cowboys, it was almost better than sex for me. So yeah, I'm going with Tampa Bay. Um, yeah, I never go against Tommy ever. Like that's the goat. Um, he should shred Diggs, those corners over there. I don't know how great the Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense is going to look, but yeah, um, I'm not going to give the Cowboys any type of credit and never go against Tom. So let's go
I
Brady.
will say with the Cowboys, when the 49ers beat them, did you buy a copy of the NFL rulebook? Did you put it as a shrine? Did you put it like somewhere safe? Because that NFL rulebook, Dak Prescott, he needs to go over it again with a fine tooth comb. He needs to go over it again.
But that was the rule, right? I mean, the referee has to touch the ball, though.
Right. Well, apparently Dak Prescott didn't know it. So
Right, right, right. So yeah, like all the Cowboy fans feel like they got cheated, and I'm like, how do you get cheated at home? Like, um, that's something else too. Um, Raider fans have always said that the league was against Al Davis, and that the Raiders always get cheated. And they were saying that even before the tuck rule game. It's just the entire league is against us, and they don't want us to win. So, and then when I heard the Cowboy fans saying that, they got cheated at home, like, come on, man,
Well,
nobody's gonna cheat you at home.
You gotta remember for the last like 7 years, Jerry Jones is convinced that Roger Goodell hates him. Like
He
he's
probably
convinced that Roger
does.
Goodell is rigging the league against him.
He probably does. I mean, Jerry Jones is not the best guy to get along with. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's Jerry's world. Jerry Jones is I can't call him the new, but he's Al Davis for the Raiders. And he can't get out of his own way. You want to be the owner, you want to be the general manager, you want to be the cheerleaders coach, you want to run the concessions. Like, instead of getting someone to run that team, and I used to tell cats, like, you know until Al Davis dies, you guys will never do anything in Oakland. And the same thing with the Cowboys. And like, and I don't wish death on anybody. I don't. But I'm just saying, like, if Jerry Jones would just kind of relinquish some things and just kind of sit back and get some football guys, some football minds, some new football minds. He did it in the '90s, and it worked in the '90s. The game has changed. The game has kind of passed him by, and you can't do the same thing that you did in the '90s in 2020. You just can't. So they're gonna, and until he can get out of his own way, it's not going to work out in Dallas. So
The thing with Jerry Jones is that, I mean, this is the guy who's tried to sue the NFL not once but twice. I mean,
right,
when
right.
you try to sue the NFL because apparently they have a grudge against you, something tells me that the NFL doesn't have a grudge against you. You
You
have a
have a
grudge
grudge against
against
them,
them.
right?
So,
And don't forget, Al Davis sued the NFL and won. Yeah, you know what I
well, he
mean?
did.
Like, he sued the NFL and won, and so that was another thing that all the Raider fans were like,
Well,
they
to
they,
be
they
fair, the
hate us.
USFL sued the NFL and won $2.04. So,
Oh man, Lord
what?
have
Maybe they
mercy.
want it. Maybe they bought a burrito with that $2.04. Bought a burrito and a soda. Now,
Nah,
a Monday matchup that we have to really discuss. This is a revenge
ooh,
game somewhat, and that is the
ooh,
Denver Broncos and the Seattle Seahawks. Now, my
ooh.
family is based in Seattle. I got to get a shout out to my family, by the way, out there
All
in
right,
Seattle. But Seattle's going to be the worst team this year. I've had them pegged as the number one overall pick in the 2023 NFL draft. Like for the last 2 months, I've been having Seattle as the number one pick in the upcoming draft. Like I have them in the
wow,
tank for Strode sweepstakes. CJ Strode from Ohio State. Yeah, I got
yeah.
Seattle getting him next year. Now, this matchup, you have the Denver Broncos -6.5. I'm taking them, no doubt. This is going to be a 2-touchdown game. But what about you? What
Might
do
be
you
a
think
three
is going to happen
touchdown
here?
game. Listen, after even before the report that came out this week, what was that, 2019, with the MVP and Pete
Mm-hmm.
Carroll, making Russ take the gas off. Look, Russ he really wanted out of Seattle, and I didn't understand it at first. But things just keep coming out. He wants to torch the Seattle Seahawks. I mean, and I think that he's good enough to get that done. Because Russ is always just kind of like just even kill. He's good. It might be a 3 or 4 touchdown game, to be totally honest. Like, he wants to shove it back down their throats, and rightfully so. He has every reason to. And I wouldn't be mad at him. Um, I didn't think though that the Seahawks would be last though. Like, I just
So I actually have the draft order. I hope I still have it on here. No, I do not. Where I had the Seattle Seahawks, I have them with the number one pick in 2023. Last episode 24, I told you who the top 5 in the draft are going to be next year. I had Seattle at number 1.
wow, wow. Well, you know what? Me being a diehard 49er fan, I wouldn't be mad at that. I will always despise the Seattle Seahawks for the Thanksgiving game that we played in Santa Clara, and
Mm-hmm.
they had Thanksgiving dinner on our logo. And I was so glad that I wasn't at that game because I probably would have got arrested. That because it's just like you don't look even when Terrell Owens was doing that against the Cowboys running out to the star. I just feel like you don't disrespect someone's logo, and I feel like they could have put the Seattle Seahawks in the end zone. They could have put them on the sideline, but they put them right there on the logo, and they sat there and had turkey and dressing and laughed. And ever since then, I'm just like, I couldn't really even root for Richard Sherman when he came to the Niners because it's just like, man, you guys really disrespected our logo. So, yeah, if they come in last, that would be like just beautiful. It'd make me sleep better at night to see how Seahawks come in last. So,
Yeah. Well, absolutely. And funny enough, I actually just found it, but granted, I'd have to pull it up. But yeah, like I
uh,
had like the top 5 draft order for the 2023 draft. And, I did get some hate for it because I had one team with the 3rd overall pick that everyone thought I was insane for. However, I will justify it in 1 second. I have to pull up the clip. And
uh,
actually, yeah, it's right here. So here was my top 5 draft order for the 2023 NFL draft. I'll put it right here.
and Ian, you never sent me that link either.
You know what? I will send it to you after the show ends because I actually can't access my phone at the moment. I kind of have
No
all these things
worries.
on my board. But yeah, so
No
this
worries.
was my draft order for 2023. I had Chicago at 5. I had Washington at 4. I had New England at 3. Houston at 2 and Seattle at 1. That was my draft order for next year. Now, the
Interesting.
Now, the one matchup that we have to discuss, it would be criminal if we did not discuss it here on the Sports Angle on PR Connections Radio, the voice of new media. I'm your host, Jane Kelly. We're here with Jay Will, 49ers fan,
Die
host of
hard.
Willy's Bar. And you got a diehard Chicago Bears fan. You have a diehard San Francisco 49ers fan. I also kind of support them because of my mother. She supported the 49ers when she was alive. So obviously, got
Okay.
to support the 49ers there. But you have the week 1 matchup, Soldier Field in
Soldier
Chicago,
Field.
the 6.5-point favorite according to FanDuel for the San Francisco 49ers. So Jay Will, this is kind of going to be somewhat of a debate segment. We do this every single year on the Sports Angle. I try to bring on somebody who is opposite of the Chicago Bears. You tell me why the 49ers are going to win, and I will tell you why the Bears will win. Jay Will, you got the floor.
Um, look, everybody's kind of uh, laughing at Trey Lance, and I guess they didn't name him team captain, and so now that's just people think it's funny, but I really think that the ceiling is going to be high for the young man. I think that again, if there was any system for him to be in, Kyle Shanahan gets the most out of his quarterbacks, especially if they're dual threats. So um, I think that he's going to light it up. And then I also just like the fact that, again, that Jimmy Garoppolo is still there. So he can still learn. And, so I think the ceiling's high. I like our running game. I like our defense. And, I don't have anything against the Chicago Bears at all. I mean, when I think of the Chicago Bears, I think of 85 and that killer defense with John McMahon at quarterback, and that defense like was just lights out. I have nothing against the Chicago Bears, but I just feel like with good defense, um, good quarterback play, good running game, I think that the Niners will come out on top. But I will say that Justin Fields, he's got a chip on his shoulder because what was that 2 years ago? I was in the Nike store down in Georgetown, and I ran into a guy, offensive lineman named DJ Jones for the Niners. It's just kind of ironically that we ran into each other. He was in Nike with his family, and I asked. It was like maybe 3 or 4 days before the draft. I'm like, "Who are we taking?" And he was like, "Man, we all feel like we can win. We can go to the Super Bowl with Justin Fields." And I was like, "Really?" He was like, "Yeah." He's like, "We're." He goes, "I don't know what Kyle and John want to do." He goes, "But the entire team is Team Justin Fields." And I was like, "Wow." So going into draft week that week, I was thinking that the Niners were going to draft Justin Fields. And when they took Trey Lance, I was like, ooh, because I kind of felt like I kind of maybe had a inside track to what the Niners are doing. But from, what DJ Jones told me, that all the players wanted Justin Fields. So I think I heard a little something of Justin Fields saying that he wants to make them regret that they didn't draft him. So maybe the young man might come out and, torch us. I'm not one of those fans that I'm not a cocky fan. I'm not an arrogant fan. It's like, oh yeah, we're gonna beat you. We're gonna again any given Sunday. So we'll see. But Niners all the way. But we'll see how it plays out though.
So, as tradition here on the Sports Angle, I'm going to give you my 4 reasons as to why the Chicago Bears are going to win this game. Before I pivot to that, I will say the 85 Bears, the second best defense in NFL history. All right, second best. If it wasn't for the 2000 Baltimore Ravens, they would be the best defense to ever be in NFL history. But unfortunately, those Ravens took out. I mean, those Ravens would knock out a quarterback every single week. I mean,
every week.
It was brutal.
But those 85 Bears were. I mean, that with Singletary and was it
Dan
Richard
Hampton,
Dent?
Steve McMichael.
Yeah, Hampton. Yeah. Man, God, they were just savages over there, man. Like I would be scared to, I'm like, man, like every single week, I'm like, this opposing team got to be afraid of these guys. Those dudes are tough, man.
And it's actually kind of ironic. You were mentioning the 2021 NFL draft, and I'm not stalling. I'm just, just explaining something real quick. But when it comes to the 2021 NFL draft, I actually had Trevor Lawrence 1, Justin Fields 2, and I had Davis Mills 3. Like, that's who I had in terms of quarterbacks. Because to me, Zach Wilson was a joke. I thought Zach Wilson was going to be a bust.
Right.
And to me, Trey Lance was a project. And that was the way I described him. He was a project. He was a guy that you would have to wait a while for him to really develop.
Right. That's why I didn't think the Niners would have taken him. Yeah. I thought that Justin Fields was, he was ready. Now, when you look back on his rookie season, I don't know. Was he ready? Could he have thrived in a Kyle Shanahan offense? I like the young man, though. You know what I mean? Like, I like him, but go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off.
All right. So, the 4 reasons why the Chicago Bears will win week 1 against San Francisco 49ers, brought to you by your host, Ian Kelly of the Sports Angle on PR Connections Radio. Reason number 1, they have home field advantage. Soldier Field, regardless of how much they have meddled with it, they've torn it down, reconstructed it, took it off the land of historical landmarks, whatever it is, you still have that home field advantage. You still have Lake Michigan. You still have all the cold. You have everything working in your advantage. That's why I don't want a dome stadium, by the way.
Right,
people keep talking about building a dome in Chicago, and I go, that doesn't benefit Chicago. The cold and all the weather and all the elements, that benefits Chicago. Just like Green Bay. That'd be like putting a dome in Lambeau. Are you stupid? You don't do it.
Right.
So I would say Soldier Field, that's the first reason. Second, Justin Fields has a chip on his shoulder. Entering year 2, Justin Fields, he's got to show that he's the main guy. He's got to show that he's the main piece in Chicago. So him balling out in week 1, having over 300 yards against San Francisco, that'd be a way for him to prove that he is a legit quarterback in the NFL. Third, it'll be David Montgomery left, David Montgomery right, David Montgomery center. When it comes to David Montgomery, he's a good running back. He can be a top 10 running back if they didn't run him into the ground before week 10. So with it being week 1, David Montgomery is going to have a very good impression on Chicago. And then the 4th and final reason why the Bears will win this game is because it is going to be a field goal deciding game. I think that with it going to be the conditions and everything going on in Chicago, I have it coming down to a field goal. And yes, I'm aware that Robbie Gould, who should have never left Chicago, by the way, he is your kicker out there in San Francisco. So regardless of what happens in this game, I am taking the Bears plus 6.5 because best case scenario, the Bears win week 1. They start the season 1-0 and they beat the 49ers in Soldier Field. Worst case scenario, it's a field goal. The 49ers win, but I end up winning because it was plus 6.5. So there you go.
Well, I'm looking at the forecast, and it's 80% rain on Sunday.
Oh,
So
even better.
I don't know what time all that's coming in. I don't know if it's going to be later on or early, but yeah, when you think of Chicago, you think of the cold, you think of rain, you think of, I mean, it's the Windy City, so
Hmm.
yeah, building a dome, no, that takes the
Let me
mystique.
ask you about that because like 5 of the last 6 stadiums built in the NFL have been domes. Have you been noticing that trend that every stadium lately has been a dome stadium?
And well, so you know why that is, right? Well, this is just my assumption. Um, all these they're trying to get more out of the stadium than just football. So they're trying to bring concerts, soccer, boxing, the good thing with the Cowboy Stadium, that you can retract the roof, you can shut it. So I think that that's another reason why you're seeing they're building these domes because they're trying to make more money than just football. During when it's not football, they want to put on shows and whatever circus, like
Yeah.
so. I think that's probably one of the reasons.
It's interesting because we're kind of on the same wavelength, but actually not really. I believe that they're making dome stadiums so they can host more Super Bowls. 6 of the last 7 Super Bowls have been in a
There,
dome stadium.
there you go. And it's hard. I mean, if you're not doing it in Miami or California, it's hard to have a Super Bowl, just certain places because of weather. So that's a great point, and probably have to agree with you on that. It's a great point, you know. But having a Super Bowl every 7 8 years at your stadium, as opposed to being able to throw different events. I know with Levi Stadium, once the Niners moved to Santa Clara, it's not a dome, but it's fairly good weather down there all the time. And if you're like a season ticket holder, you get first dibs on concert tickets. Any shows that's coming to Levi Stadium, you get
Mhm.
first dibs on those tickets. So Garth Brooks is coming. All the country music. Beyonce, Jay Z. Like if you're a season ticket holder, boom, you get the first dibs. And so they're putting on huge soccer events at Levi. Um, so I don't know. I mean, having a Super Bowl, cool, but being able to sell your stadium out all year round as opposed to just during football. There's a lot of money in concessions and parking, and so I would rather have my stadium sold out all year long than to be able to get the Super Bowl every 5 6 7 years. But it makes sense though.
Yeah, and actually, I just pulled this up just to make sure that the Sports Angle and PR Connections Radio was correct. And yeah, so 2023 is in Arizona. That's going to be it's a closed stadium. 2024 is at Allegiant Stadium here in Las Vegas. That's a closed stadium. And
Mhm.
2025 is the Superdome in New Orleans. That's a closed stadium.
Yeah. Yep. So again, if you're not going to have it in California or Florida, you got to have it in one of these domes because in February, weather is just you never know what you're going to get from the weather. So
Yeah. Now, getting into the back end of the Sports Angle on PR Connections Radio with your host, Ian Rakelli. We're here with Jay Will from Willy's Bar. So that was our NFL Week 1 picks. You can critique us and judge the heck out of us after we
yeah,
get half
please
of them
do.
wrong Week 1. So talking about the 2022 NFL season, the Detroit Lions. Now, I'm very high on Detroit. I like what they've done. They drafted the best player from the draft, Aiden Hutchinson, who fell to them second overall. You have Dan Campbell, one of the most electrified and energetic coaches in the NFL right now. And
That
it
dude
seems
is
and it seems like Brad Holmes, the general manager, is really making moves in the right direction, filling certain holes, bringing in certain coaches like Aaron Glenn to be their defensive coordinator, who I think is going to be fantastic, by the way. So when it comes to Detroit, them making these right steps and taking these angles into the right direction, do you believe that they will be a playoff contender in 2022 for the NFL?
that's gonna be tough, man. I actually love the coach though. A guy is very animated, very just he's wired up. And if you're gonna go to war with somebody, I would love to play for a coach like that. You know what I mean? It just seems like he gets all the guys going. I like Jared Goff. I like what they're doing. I agree with you. I like what they're doing. Playoff team this year, probably not. Probably not. I'd be surprised if they do. Um, but they're headed in the right direction. Finally, I think that they got some good pieces in Detroit, and they're moving in the right direction. Kind of like the Buffalo Bills. You can kind of see that coming a few years ago. It's like, okay, these guys are heading in the right direction. They're putting the pieces together, and that's what they're doing over in Detroit. But I don't think they'll make the playoffs this year.
Now, with Detroit Lions, people who've watched the show long enough, I have them as the 7th and final seed, 9-8 on the year. So I got them being the 7th and final seed in the NFC.
Okay. Okay.
So
I like these predictions because I like to see how it unfolds
yeah.
in the end. If did we hit it or were we way off? So we got to come back and revisit this.
Yeah. And with Aaron Glenn, by the way, I mentioned this. I forget what show it was. It might have been on Joshua's Stay Tuned, by the way. By the way, go check out Stay Tuned. Joshua Bailey,
Stay tuned
fantastic show.
live.
But I mentioned that Aaron Glenn, if the Lions get a top 10 defense this year, or maybe get a top 5 defense, within the next couple of years, Aaron Glenn will be a head coach in the NFL. I'm a big fan of Aaron Glenn. I'm a huge fan of him.
Okay. Yeah.
I think
I
that
agree.
him being hired as defensive coordinator in Detroit was a fantastic decision by Brad Holmes. I'm a big fan of it.
I agree. I'm with you on that.
And then, so pivoting from the Detroit Lions, there was the report that came out recently. So during the roster cuts, he did the 53-man roster. Josh Gordon got released by the Kansas City Chiefs. He gets signed by the Tennessee Titans. This will be his 5th team since 2018. And I know that he was supposed to go to University of Utah. He had the problems at Baylor, goes to Cleveland Browns, has one of the best seasons by a receiver, I think, in his rookie or his sophomore year. But it really feels like Josh Gordon has become a headline for all the wrong reasons. So when it comes to Josh Gordon, what do you think the problem is? Because it's clearly not talent, because he keeps on getting signed by all these teams. Like, what's really the problem here?
Like Stephen A. Smith said, man, you got to leave the weed alone. You know what I mean? Like, hell of a talent. Um, it seems like a good guy, but just can't. I don't even. Do they even check for marijuana anymore in the NFL? I don't think they
It
do, right?
depends on the state. Like, that's the
Okay.
thing about the NFL ruling. It depends on the state
Okay.
and what their marijuana rulings are.
Okay. Because I think that that was his biggest problem. Just couldn't stay clean. Test positive, and serve your suspensions. But a hell of a talent though. But I gotta. You know, I like to drink light beer, and if someone told me that you paying me a boatload of money, and someone said you can't drink light beer for 3 months out of the year due to work, I wouldn't drink light beer. You know what I mean? Like I'd be drinking, orange juice, apple juice, whatever, but I wouldn't, so I just don't understand these guys that when you know the rules, you even know when you're going to be tested. They aren't surprise tests. So, you can, if you are going to smoke weed, you can do whatever it takes to flush your system out, you know. Um, so it's just, I don't understand these guys, but I think Josh Gordon, hell of a talent, but he just couldn't stay clean. And, you know, it's not like it was crack or, cocaine or anything. It's just, weed, marijuana. So,
I think really the unfortunate thing is that I understand that addiction can be a thing. I've dealt with it personally. My family, I've seen them deal with it.
oh yeah,
But
me,
when it
me too.
comes to Josh Gordon, even back when he was at Baylor and even at University of Utah when he was in college, it felt like he always ran into the same problem again and again and again. And no matter how many people were trying to help him, no matter how many people tried to give him a second chance, it always felt like he ran into the same problem.
Right.
Unfortunately, we've seen in sports, and it's really tragic when I have what I have to say next, but you can't get out of your own way. No
Yeah.
matter how many people want to help you, you just can't stop yourself from causing the same problems over and over again.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. I agree. I've seen addiction in my family too. Um, and that's one of the main reasons why, the things that I've seen growing up, it's one of the main reasons why I've never even delved into it because I see the effects. I see how it can, tear you up. I see how it can destroy your family. But yeah, sometimes people can't get out of their own way. And you're right. You got people supporting you, you got people, trying to help you, but for whatever reason, addiction is real. So,
So moving back to Las Vegas, because we have about 10 minutes left here on the show. The Las Vegas Raiders, their superstar tight end, Darren Waller, there's been all these talks about him signing a contract extension before the season kicked off.
right.
Unfortunately, a deal hasn't been reached before week 1. But what the conversation has been here in Las Vegas, the sports entertainment capital of the world, is the possibility of Darren Waller being paid like George Kittle, being paid like Travis Kelce, like David Njoku with his contract he just got in Cleveland. And that is being one of
Um,
the highest paid tight ends in the NFL right now. So, Jay, Will, and everyone watching around the world, when it comes to the Las Vegas Raiders, when it comes to Darren Waller, do you believe that he will be the highest paid tight end in the NFL? And if he does, should he be the highest paid tight end in the NFL?
I don't think he should be the highest paid, but I think, again, hell of a talent. He has a great connection with Carr. Um, but I also know that, he's dealt with a lot of substance issues. I think alcohol or whatever. Um, I don't think he should be the highest paid, but I think that he should be somewhere reputable around, with the top tier tight ends, but I don't think he should be the highest paid. I mean, Travis Kelsey is still a beast. I'm so pissed off that with the fact that Kittle was hurt, and the damn season hasn't even started, and you got a groin injury. Like you didn't even play preseason. You got a groin injury going into week 1. You don't even know. So I think that's what stops Kittle is that he just can't stay on the field. But Travis Kelsey, man, that dude is a stud. Um, I think Kyle Pitts, he's going to be a stud. Waller's a stud. Andrews in Baltimore is a stud. But I don't think he should be the highest paid though. And I think that the Raiders will. I think that they're going to pay him, but I don't think he should be the highest paid. A tight end.
So with George Kittle, with him being injured with the 49ers, is Deebo Samuel pretty much going to be your option A in San Francisco?
I don't think so. I mean, I think you got Brandon Ayuk, um, Debo. I'm having a brain freeze right now. We brought in some. We got to be all right. You know what I mean? I mean, Kittle opens up that middle, but I don't even know. I think we just signed someone from New England, a tight end, but I don't expect him to play this week. But I don't even know who the backup tight end is in San Francisco. Just right off the break, but I think Debo will be the number one option. But I think that between the running game and hopefully Trey Lance will be able to see the field. I think that that's what's going on. I don't think that he's seeing the whole field right now, and I think that you know get rid of the ball, kid. Don't be one of those cats to sit back, hike the ball, and sit back there. And you're not Tom Brady. You don't have offensive line like Tom Brady. I mean, Tom could stand there and make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich and take a bite before somebody got to him. Like he's just always had great offensive linemen around him. But get rid of the ball. I hope Trey Lance gets rid of the ball. Um, but we'll see. We'll see. I'm pumped up though.
Tyler Croft, by the way. Thanks for the person who sent me that. Yeah, Tyler Croft. He's a tight end now.
Oh,
So.
interesting. Yeah, interesting.
And I will say that when it comes to Darren Waller and everything like that, I think that he will become the highest paid tight end, but I agree
Mhm.
with you that it should be Kelsey. I mean, Travis Kelsey, they could triple team him. He's still going to find a way to catch it. He's pretty much
Right.
what Tony Gonzalez was in the 2000s. You could put 4 people on Tony Gonzalez. He'd find a way to still get in the back of the end zone. So,
Always. 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 Yeah. Love me some Tony Gonzalez. That guy was yeah. Whew.
yeah. I mean, to me, Gronk is my favorite tight end of all time, but I've always told people Tony Gonzalez, probably the most dominant tight end ever
Yeah.
come out.
Yeah. Oh man. I just love watching that dude play. In Atlanta and yeah. Wow. Wow.
And to kind of recap this real quick, we talked about Mitchell Trubisky earlier in the show, him being named the starter for the Steelers. And it's kind of similar to the Ryan Tannehill situation where you have a rookie quarterback, Marcus Mariota, where you have a rookie quarterback that's going to be under you to start the year. So with Mitchell Trubisky, if he makes the playoffs, let's just say the Steelers get the 7th seed somehow, they make the playoffs. Will Kenny Pickett play anytime this year, or will they ride with Trubisky the whole way?
I just think it all depends on how Trubisky does. I think what I do think is that Pittsburgh, they're going to take their time with him. I think if he has 2 or 3 bad games, they're just not going to just snatch him. Mike Tomlin is just not that type of coach. So I mean, it just depends. I think it all just depends on the quarterback play if he can get it done. And like I said earlier, if there's any system that you want to be in, to play for, it'd be a coach like Tomlin. So I think he's in the right hands. Just can he execute the X and O's?
And shout out to Twitter, by the way. Engage in the show. He used the hashtag Sports Angle. And someone asked you, Jay Will, since I said who was going to win the AFC West earlier in the show, I said the Denver Broncos are my pick. Someone asked you, Jay Will, who do you have, or who does your guest have winning the AFC West in 2022? Jay Will?
I've got to go with either Denver um, or Los Angeles Chargers. Again, my man Justin Herbert. I wish that I had a kid like that over in San Francisco. So I'll say the Chargers just off of the year that they had last year, and Raiders knocked them out, but I'm going to say the San Diego Superchargers.
So we have about 5 minutes left here on the show, here on the Sports Angle on PR Connections Radio. So I'm going to very quickly get into the NBA, spend about 5 minutes
Ooh,
here, because I know that the Golden State Warriors are behind you. I know, like, in the little part of the screen, you got the Golden State Warriors logo in there. So it's very fitting I have to ask this question because we are in the sportsbook capital of the world. What do you think the odds are that the Warriors win one more time?
odds are huge. Um, I honestly think that they can run it back again this year. Staying healthy, and you know, I say this, and even about football, you got to be lucky, man, to get back to the finals. You got to be lucky to make it to a Super Bowl. You could have the best team, you could have the best players, but if you can't stay healthy, if I don't tell this story too much, but last year when when the Bucks went out, I was sitting right here looking at the game, and I just started smiling, and I was like, "We have a shot," because the Golden State Warriors are super small, and Milwaukee they're just huge, like just everybody. And I'm like, there's no way in the world we could ever match up against Milwaukee. When they went out, I was like, we got a shot at this. Like we got a real bona fide certified shot. So I like the young players that we got in Golden State with Moody and Kaminga, Jordan Poole. It's yeah, I think we can get one more. I think we can get one more. I don't know if it'll be this year, but I think that we can get one more, possibly two. I don't
Okay. And then the since I'm just gonna bring up the odds real quick because I want to know if this surprises anybody around the world, including you. According to FanDuel right now, the Celtics are the odds-on favorite to win the 2023 NBA Finals at plus 500. Milwaukee Bucks plus 650, and then the Brooklyn, Golden State, and LA are plus 700. Any of that surprise you, Jay Will?
No, no, doesn't surprise me. Boston's going to be good. They're going to be good for a long time, especially if they can keep Tatum and this other guy,
Jalen Brown.
Jalen Brown. They can keep that nucleus together. They're going to be good. I mean, there's going to be a lot of good teams. Don't sleep on the Clippers. Or was that the LA team that you were talking about? Or were you talking
That's
about the
the team I'm
Lakers?
talking about. Yeah, the LA
Okay,
Lakers
okay,
are like 20-1 or something.
okay,
So
okay. All right, yeah. The Clippers, they're going to be. You got Kawhi coming back with Paul George. I mean, there's going to be some good competition this year in the NBA. I'm looking forward to it. But um, Game four just solidified Steph Curry as one of the best NBA players of all time. Not just this, last year or whatever. That game four in Boston, it was like a Jordan moment. And I sat here and I couldn't believe what I was watching. So, yeah, Steph has solidified himself. And I told the guys on Stay Tuned that the only thing he didn't have was an MVP. And so now he's got a finals MVP. Um, yeah, he can stay healthy. Clay can stay healthy. I'm curious to see. I think Clay will be better this year. I don't think he was right, like fully all the way back last year. His defense was kind of off, and then those guys are getting old. So they're getting older, I should say. They're not old, but I think I like the direction that the Warriors are going in because you can tell that they're trying to rebuild, and bring in a good young nucleus. So if they can do that, they got a shot. But I still think that we need to get bigger, though. We got to
and we
bring in
got
some
about
veterans.
90. We got about 90 seconds. So one final question before we close the show.
Mhm.
Steph Curry, as of right now, is he top 10 all time?
Yes, yes. And let me say this: I'm tired of the top 10 all time. I think that we should just do top tens by eras. There's too many great players to say top 10. There's 200 top 10 players out there that were just amazing athletes for the game. They had hell of careers. So I think that we should start doing top 10s by eras. You just can't. Even top 75. That I think that's disrespectful too, because there's so many great NBA guys out there. So I just think that we should start doing it by eras. But he's definitely top 10.
I'm really glad you said that because, I've always been saying for the longest time that if you separate the eras, it's kind of, you'll bring more respect and everything. Because, like, if you take Curry on there, who you're going to bump off? Shaq was great. Tim Duncan
Right.
was great. Like, it's
No.
really hard to bump somebody off. So,
Right.
we have about 30 seconds left. So, I want you to shout out all the stuff you do, tell people about Willy's Bar and Stay Tuned and everything that you're doing right now.
So Uh, I've been with Stay Tuned. We've been rocking on Stay Tuned for about 3 years, and uh, the Willie's Bar podcast is coming very soon. Um, I don't have enough time to tell you about Willie's Bar and just how it came around, how it came about. But stay tuned for the Willie's Bar podcast, and stay tuned live every Tuesday at 10 p.m. East, 7 p.m. Pacific.
And this is the Sports Angle on PR Connections Radio. Appreciate Jay Will for coming on the show. Welcome back anytime. And
Appreciate you having me.
I'm your host, Andrew Kelly. And until next time, have a good one and stay safe.
Hey, peace.